Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Napa know-how.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Know-how. Napa know-how.
Here at Bill Jackson Chevrolet in Troy, we've been doing business the right way for 31 years. But don't take our word for it. We feel our customers express it the best.
Been honest in everything we've discussed with them.
When they say Jackson Satisfaction, they really mean it.
The Jackson Satisfaction is
the one last week. All right, we are live on Today in LA, and my name is Bill Rice Jr. On the screen, you see Michael Amos from Grayton Beach, Florida. Good morning, Michael.
Morning, how are y'all?
Good. Then we're also joined by Michael's father, Mike Amos, the founder.
Glory.
Hey, let me finish my introduction. You are in beautiful Panama City Beach, Florida. How was the 4th of July at Panama City Beach, Mike?
I was interrupted.
Oh man, I asked you how was 4th of July weekend at Panama City Beach?
It was wonderful, and of course, fireworks were just outstanding. I'm located about less than a mile west of the Y, what they call the Y, where Pier Park is located. Pier Park is where they had the giant fireworks demonstration on the 4th of July, and it was just simply fabulous. And we probably had 20 to 30 minutes of just fireworks over and over and over, and it was beautiful. And we had a good setting, had great food. We had some ribs and some corn on the cob and some apple pie and some watermelon and some corn on the cob. I tell you what, we just had more food than you could shake and stick at. We really enjoyed it.
Man, that sounds great. How about you, Michael? What did you do during the 4th of July weekend? Oh, we're working on Michael's audio. Well, I assume he got a little sun at the beach. He probably ate, probably drank a little bit.
Well, I tell you what, I didn't see a lot of social distancing like we should have. These young people just think they're
invincible.
They can go out and do anything they want to and not worry about the virus.
Well, they say that the number of cases are going up in some states. I think Florida's one of them.
That's right. Of course, 4th of July was going to be a big test of America's discipline, and and we were going to see exactly how well we were going to treat this thing, and where we were going to do the right things to shut this terrible virus down. And right now, I'm gonna guess that we're gonna get a failing record. I just got a feeling we're gonna have a failing record as far as distance, what they call distance.
Social distancing, yeah. Social distancing. This term that is we use all the time now that we've never heard 6 months ago.
They were gonna test our discipline, and of course there was a lot of people on the beach and a lot of people in Troy, Alabama. Rice, I told people down here, I said, shoot, this is great, but I would have been able to see the same thing if I stayed in Troy, and that's exactly what it was. Another production of Mr. Smith and his department there.
Yeah, it was fantastic as always. So thanks to the Troy Recreation Department and the City of Troy for hosting this great fireworks show. Had a really good crowd. You know, people are spread out in all their little gathering places. Our place is behind the cafeteria, the old cafeteria at Charles Simpson High School. I think that's now the library. But there's a big flat grassy patch that we laid down a quilt and had our lawn chairs, Carrie and I and the two kids, and we had all our provisions. Could hear the music blaring from the stadium, great, you know, the patriotic music. They played all the songs you wanted them to play, Mike. And I think it went off without a hitch. It started right at 9 o'clock. Also a beautiful full moon on this night. I guess y'all saw that at Panama City Beach and Grayton too.
When you said full moon, it was kind of heat lightning actually from where we were, but we saw a lot of beautiful fireworks going from Sandustin to Destin to back towards Panama City Beach. But I saw some pictures from Crow Hill that people took of the fireworks, and you can definitely see them well from Crow Hill.
Oh, yeah, there's people at Crow Hill, by the tennis courts, by the old Baptist Children's Home, the sorority homes, by the football practice fields, in the stadiums, in the Charles Henderson parking lot. And I didn't get up.
All over the practice fields, were they a lot of folks sitting on the practice field?
No, I didn't see anybody going on the practice field proper, but they were sitting above it, and in the parking lot, they probably kept them off the practice fields.
Well, I tell you what, but so a lot of folks had a lot of fun. Is that right?
A lot of folks had a lot of fun, and it's become a tradition. And we talked about it last week. Bo Gaylord's got this started in Troy, and it's just grown and grown and grown every year. And I appreciate the city of Troy doing it, because you know they've got to be watching their pennies and nickels and dimes these days with the loss of revenue they've had. But they still did it, and it was a good little getaway for people. And then I do think, Mike, that I didn't see anybody bunched up with other people, so everybody was social distancing here in Troy.
Makes you wonder how much they actually pay for these fireworks.
Yeah.
I mean, down here, some of these families that bring fireworks, I'm sure they spend thousands and thousands of dollars just to shoot them off the beach. You know, I was telling my wife, that's the one time we don't drive the beach truck down, is during the 4th of July, because there's so many people, and of course you got a lot of people that have been drinking all day as well, shooting fireworks, and we got little kids, so we're trying to stay away from that if we can.
Yeah.
You know, of course, as we mentioned just a while ago, it's going to be a test of the nation's discipline about this, and serious, how serious they take this terrible situation that we're in, and hopefully we'll get a good grade. But I don't know. I haven't seen the final numbers. Have you seen the numbers? Any numbers, Mike?
Yeah, I looked.
Yesterday you had 42,000 cases and about 275 deaths. That's what I saw.
Well, now say that one more time.
I saw around 42,000 cases and 275 deaths. That's what I saw.
I looked at Alabama I looked at Alabama this morning, and the state of Alabama's had about 42,000 confirmed cases and 940 something deaths. But I did the math. If you've had approximately 42,000 confirmed cases, the population of Alabama is 4.9 million, almost 5 million, might be 5 million now. So it's 0.86% of the population, less than 1% of the population has contracted the virus so far. And I did know that these are cases, not people. Somebody mentioned that in something I read, that cases and persons infected are not the same thing, because you have a lot of people who are tested more than one time.
Yeah, exactly.
And more good news coming out of Florida. There's a brain-eating amoeba case confirmed in Florida. So now we have brain-eating amoeba cases that are killing people in Florida as well.
Oh man! And then we got the another swine flu coming, and then we had the killer wasp or the killer bee that was coming. We've had the locusts in Africa. Now the dust storm.
I've got a couple of friends of mine that work for the disease control department in Atlanta.
Wow.
And one of them spent 30 years with them, and they mentioned this swine flu that was coming around. Well, we don't need both of these, do we?
No, that would be the end times right there.
Yeah.
I wonder if we're going to do shut down part 2 because of this increase in cases right now. I did see that, who was it? Major League Baseball is trying to play some abbreviated season.
And play 60 games.
Yeah, and they're testing all of their players and staff. And the first round, or the round of tests that just came back, they said they had tested more than 3,000 people, and only 1.2% had been positive. So that's good.
Well, what?
Is that far as Lee coming to bat, or what?
That is Scott doing some of his tech work.
Of course, it'd be good to see baseball get started. That'll give a relief. I don't know if, you were talking about if we go back to the quarantine system again. I don't think that they would let us do that. What do you think?
I think it'll be a state-by-state thing, Mike, that, some of your more progressive, proactive states might do it and others might not. But I'm really, really worried about the economic impact of all of this. I sense that it's worse than we know right now, and that it could just, especially if we have to shut down or can't fully open, it's going to get even worse. And that creates its own consequences to mental health and a lot of other things that does to people.
I could see some self-quarantines, and that's going back to those individual cases there. But I don't think the government would let us shut down the businesses again. I really don't.
Well, they.
That means, everybody's raving over June, having those June numbers as far as employment goes. They were ecstatic over those. What was it? Something like 4.8 million people went back to work, or what? How did that work?
Yeah, that's what they said. Those numbers, you can take them with a grain of salt. I'm suspicious of these.
We're starting to see politics involved quite a bit in this, don't you think?
Yeah, I've always wondered about the unemployment numbers and how accurate they are. But yeah, according to the official narrative, there was 4.2 million jobs created, and they say that official unemployment is only 11%. Man, if you believe that, I got a bridge. I'll sell you.
It's tremendous. You're right. That'd be tremendous.
Well, I think real unemployment, if you calculated it in the common sense way, would be 25-30%.
Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Mike Amos, speaking to you from West Panama City Beach this morning. It is gorgeous down here. The sun is just coming up, and the waters are beautiful, and you want to finish up a good weekend, come on down, because it's beautiful down here.
Well, tell us, how many people are down there, Mike? Would you estimate just a ton?
Oh gosh, I would say 250,000 people are down here. I would think. What would you say, Mike?
He can't.
Talking about from all the way from Apalachicola all the way to Mobile. What do you say there? Be 250,000 people down here, probably at least.
Yeah, Michael's sound's not working right now, but that sounds about right to me, Mike. Where are you seeing people from? The usual states? A lot from Alabama?
Well, I'm seeing a lot. Yesterday I saw a lot of Kentucky folks, but mostly Atlanta, Georgia, a lot of Georgia folks, a lot of Tennessee folks, and this is summer now. This is not time, and I see so many people that celebrate the 4th of July every year down here. It's a family tradition.
Mm-hmm.
You see a lot of families that, on the 4th of July, and I doubt if you could hardly find a room down here on the 4th. It was that crowded.
I should have paid more attention to the traffic on Highway 231. I guess it was up. On Saturday, we went for a late lunch. I took the kids, really, to get them out of Carrie's hair. And, man, I had the hardest time finding an open restaurant, Mike.
In Troy?
Yeah, some of them were open, but they just had a few workers, and it was just the drive-through. I bet I went to 6 places trying to find. I wanted to sit down so I didn't mess up my house and could kill some time. And man, we started at Dairy Queen and went up the Strip and went to all the usual places. Went down. I said the Huddle House, Peyton's Place. I even thought, man, let's get some Hooks barbecue. Even Hooks was closed on 4th of July.
They were actually closed on the 4th of July.
Yeah, well, as of about 3:15 in the afternoon, they were.
I was wondering about that.
Now, you know what? You know who saved me, Mike? Santa Fe restaurant was open.
Well, I'm glad.
And we had a great meal. The kids loved it. Killed about an hour and a half.
Or y'all get it to go?
Man, we went inside. We had salsa and chips for an appetizer.
Did you see my buddy in there, the guy that runs it? Did you see him?
I don't know. We were well taken care of by our servers.
He used to, for years and years, he ran the Chinese restaurant, Mr. Ho's.
Michael said that I didn't know that.
You're talking about BJ?
Yeah, he's the manager of
Santa Fe Steakhouse.
Yeah.
I've had technical difficulties, so I hadn't heard a word y'all said the last 10 minutes.
Well, can you see me? Do I look okay?
Okay.
Yeah, I can see you now.
Well, I like Michael's got a hat on this morning. He's like, remember I wore a hat for 2 months when I couldn't get a haircut.
Yeah, I didn't have time to take a shower this morning.
I was with a bunch of old Alabama and Auburn alumnus this weekend, and everybody's starting to argue back and forth again. And out on the beach, there was a Alabama tent, and the social discipline was terrible. And right next to him was an Auburn tent with about 20 or 25 people without any desire to social distance, and they hollered back and forth at each other all day long.
That's funny.
Maybe they were families.
Hey, guess who's showing up on the set? The one and the only Foley is getting ready to arrive.
I'll tell you what, I want one of those strawberry cakes he made.
I got one in the refrigerator. I thought Mike was going to be here this weekend.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa know-how. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa know-how team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
We are back, and look who is here. Coach Forrest Lee, proudly showing his CHHS #1 colors. Where'd you get that?
If I remember right, Forrest, what was your number in high school?
I wore 36 when I was a freshman, then I wore number 30 the rest of the time. my first cousin Buck Jordan wore 30, and so I picked.
Yeah, I can remember it so well. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Number 30, Forrest Lee enters the ball game for the first time tonight, and there goes the final gun.
Well, Mike, yesterday afternoon, Jackie Richburg called me. The university has purchased the Hoball House there right past, is that Richmond Avenue? It's right there.
Joe Hoball's house and Jim Hoball's?
Yeah, they're selling that house, but he said, you want this Charles Henderson #1? I said, no. I said, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's the 1980 state championship football AA champions #1 that you wear on your hand. That's 40 years old.
Golly, I was on that team, and I don't even remember seeing those things. Yeah.
They had it in there. He said, you want it? I said, yeah, I'll take it. And so here it is, and I'm going
to... off that team, we'd probably really like that.
Yeah, that's valuable. Keep it, yeah.
Forrest, tell me...
Bill Rice, you got to take it.
I will. University purchase.
Oh, well, the Hoball House there on, what's the name of that? What's the street? Richmond? It's not Richmond.
I can't remember where the Hoballs live in the college.
Well, it's down that first street right there by the Armory. Anyway, Jackie Richburg called me and said, hey, this sewing machine I'm going to give to you, well, it's an old sewing machine. I'm going to make a lamp out of it. And so he said, just look through the house and see if there's anything else you want. And I said, no. So I was getting ready to leave. He said, well, you want a Charles Henderson?
That's a collector's item.
This Charles Henderson #1.
That's a foam #1 football finger.
Yeah.
And this was a yard sale, is that what?
Well, he had one a while back, and we agreed about a sewing machine. Anyhow, he ended up giving it to me, but this foam #1 that you wear at football games or pep rallies or whatever, it's a commemorative 1980 state championship #1 that you put on your hand. You can't see it, but I think Michael can. But anyway, there it is.
The last time Charles Henderson won the state championship in football was about the last time Georgia won a national championship in football. It might have been the same season.
Yeah. But that was when Herschel played in 80, wasn't it? 1980?
Yep.
And they played, I want to say they played Michigan in the Sugar Bowl. Who do they play for the championship?
No, they played Pittsburgh, I think.
Pittsburgh. Okay, it was Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
They playing the Sugar Bowl.
Yep.
And they couldn't stop Herschel. They could not stop Herschel.
Boy, they had.
I believe that Georgia hadn't won a national championship in 40 years.
Well, the other 2 years he was there, they were very close to winning it.
Yep.
I think
there probably was never a time in college football history where you had two giant players like Herschel and like
Bo.
The great Bo Jackson. And not only were they great players when they played, but great citizens. Have you ever heard anything bad said about Herschel or Bo? They've lived good role model lives. They've been great role models.
I guess his welcome moment to college football is when he ran over Bill Bates going in for a touchdown against Tennessee. And Larry Munson. I wish we could play that over.
Let's go over the most, and let's mention the greatest athletes ever to play as far as the kind of people they were. They were not only great players, but they were great people. And Bo and Herschel came from a little old bitty town in North Georgia. Bo, of course, came from just outside of Birmingham.
But they are great citizens and have done real well in life.
How about the number 34?
But they have interesting backstories. Bo admits himself that he was an angry young man for some of his early years. And he got better under the tutelage of Pat Dye and became an all-around good citizen. But then Herschel had all kind of psychological issues. Michael, I'm sure you've seen some of those documentaries on him where he had like multiple personality disorders, and one time he wanted to quit and join the Marines. So there was things he was dealing with and issues that he didn't get squared away until middle age, really.
He's also a guy that still thinks he can play at about 53 years old.
Well, he looks like it, doesn't he?
He became an MMA fighter. He started fighting a little bit.
He's 58.
He was more of a track star, than he was tight. He was more of a tight end in high school.
He's the one that built the Dallas Cowboys. When he left, they made all that multiple trades, and Dallas got all the benefits of selling him to, was it the Vikings?
He was never the same player in the pros that he was in college, and I guarantee that's because he ran the ball 40 times a game at Georgia for 3 years. So, I mean, just think of all the licks he took.
And people would say, well, they're stopping him. Well, you know how they stopped him, don't you? They put 8 men on the line of scrimmage, and they blitzed every play to try to hit him before he got started. Like Herschel, if you hit him before he got started, you could stop it. But if you didn't, you hit him before he got started, look out, he's going to run over everybody.
Well, I heard his numbers, though. He played in the USFL, so his NFL numbers were not as good as they could have been.
A lot of people need to know this. As fast as Bo was, and he was real fast. Some people say he was clocked at under 4.2 in the 40-yard dash. But you know what? Every time that Bo and Herschel met on the track, and they met 3 or 4 times in track, Herschel would outrun him.
Hey, I never knew that.
When they started the 100-yard dash, Bo would have him at midway around the 50-yard mark, but then Herschel would start gradually moving away from him, and he would beat him by maybe a stride, about a stride, and Herschel would win the 100-yard dash.
Said he was signed by the New Jersey Generals, at that time owned by Oklahoma oil tycoon Walter Duncan, who later sold it to real estate mogul Donald Trump.
Who was that?
Herschel.
Donald Trump owned that team in Philadelphia, didn't he?
No, it was the New Jersey Generals. It was owned by an Oklahoma oil man, and he sold it to Donald Trump.
I remember Herschel. He probably led the league in rushing. He had some good games, but I don't remember him being as spectacular, even in the USFL, as he was at Georgia.
He had 2,000 yards in the USFL.
In one season? Wow. Yeah.
Herschel, I think a lot of people don't realize what a good receiver he was in the NFL, too. I looked at his numbers one day. He has over 10,000 all-purpose yards in the NFL.
225 or 230, something. They were almost identical as far as size.
I mean, back then you also had Tony Dorsett, who was great. Of course, he was a different kind of running back. And then you had, speaking of Alabama backs back then, I guess, Bobby Humphrey doesn't tear his knee up. Humphrey went to the pros. Of course, he got, some issues with drugs. But, I think Humphrey would have had a really good pro career. He put up great numbers at Alabama.
At one time, Humphrey was the leading candidate to win the Heisman at one time.
Yeah, tore his knee up.
Well, I think he tore up his foot. Yeah. Who was I always talk about that's kind of forgotten in Alabama lore, and he played the same time as Bo, is Kerry Good. Played for Ray Perkins. He had a really good freshman year. As the season progressed, they just started giving him the ball more and more. That Penn State game where Preston Gothard caught the touchdown that was disallowed. Well, Kerry Good was a freshman on that team, and I think he had over 100 yards in that game. So he finished with about 800 or 900 yards in his freshman year, and then I think that would have been Ray Perkins' first or second year. And then his second year.
Okay. I was talking yesterday to Mary Earl Elmore. She was an Elmore, and she later sent me a picture with something like Albert Elmore, Senior. Her dad grew up in Gordo, in that area, Gordo, and there was another town, little town next to Gordo.
Reform.
Her family was a great football family, and we were talking about at one time her brother, Albert Elmore Jr., grew up right here in Troy, played for Troy High School, played for Alabama, and he held the record for the longest touchdown pass in Alabama history, 88 yards from Albert Elmore to Bobby Luna. And the guy that broke that record was a young man from North Alabama named Pierre Good. You remember him? Pierre Good was the first.
Yeah, it was Kerry's little brother, and he was a much bigger hotshot recruit. He was one of the top recruits in America. But I think Kerry Good, if you look at his per yards carry, he was on pace to be a Heisman Trophy big-time candidate. He outplayed Doug Flutie until he got hurt in that game, the first game of his sophomore year.
The kickoff, he ran.
Yeah, he had like 300 total all-purpose yards in that game, but he would have been playing with and against and at the same time as Bo Jackson. I think if they both, Kerry Good stayed healthy, you would have had Bo Jackson and Kerry Good both in the top 5 of the Heisman Trophy.
That's about it. Now, I want to say, I thought Pierre was older than Kerry.
No, he's younger.
And they also had a brother that was a transfer from somewhere, Chris Good.
Clyde Good or Chris Good.
Good, that's right. Clyde Good was another one of those Good brothers.
He ended up having the longest NFL career of all of them. He was a cornerback. Kerry Good, I think, played 1 year for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after that terrible knee injury.
All right, now let me ask you, Guru, where were they from? Where was their hometown?
Town Creek.
Town Creek.
And their first cousin was Antonio Langham.
One is Hazelwood, where they came from?
I think the high school is called Hazelwood, but the town is Town Creek.
And then right up the street from there was a little town called Cortland. Do you remember that? Cortland?
Cortland and Leeton.
They all had great teams and great players came out of Hazelwood and Cortland.
I'm reading an article, 2018. It says former Alabama star Kerry Good on his fight with ALS.
Yeah,
he's like Kevin Turner.
He's not doing well, I don't think.
He can't speak anymore.
Oh no.
No, I didn't realize that.
And he was such a handsome. Well, I talked to him and knew him a little. He would come over to the Sigma Newhouse from time to time. I gave some money to his GoFundMe page when I found out he had ALS. Just sad.
And of course, looking at some of the other great players that played at small high schools. You remember the name of Michael Landrum? Y'all remember him?
Yes.
He came from a little bitty town over actually he came from my favorite town, Mike, where the Michigan helmet.
Sweetwater?
Sweetwater.
Yeah, Michael Landrum came from Sweetwater. And then how about a guy named the great one that came that played with the Buffalo Bills all those years. And
Cribbs.
That gave us falls down. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Joe Cribbs.
Yeah.
Joe Cribbs came from a little bitty town, Mike. What was the name of it?
Sullivan, I think.
Sullivan came out of Sullivan.
I remember when he played for the Birmingham Stallions, had some good years for them.
Remember how good Joe Cribbs was? He was among those 3 great backs that played at Alabama, played at Auburn,
Michael Landrum is the answer to a trivia question about Alabama football. What's the question? Pretend you're on Jeopardy.
Michael Landrum, he was a great player now.
He was the first African-American quarterback that Alabama ever signed.
Okay, all right. I remember out of Sweetwater. Is that right?
Yeah, he didn't. He only played 1 or 2 years, but he was on the team and he played a little bit. The first African American quarterback that started for Alabama was, of course, Walter Lewis, who was.
And let me ask you another question.
LaGrange, Georgia.
Walter Lewis came out of
No.
T.R. Miller.
T.R. Miller.
Okay.
Or did he come out of? He might have come out of.
LaGrange?
Walter Lewis, did he come out of Bruton or did he come out of
Bruton.
excuse me?
Yeah, he came out of Bruton and T.R. Miller. He was.
Did he play at T.R. Miller or did he play at? He didn't play at the Scambia County High School, did he?
It just says Bruton.
I thought he played at Bruton.
He
T.R.
was
Miller.
Out of Bruton. That's right. He played at Bruton.
I don't think he played at W.S. Mill.
There was another great player that came out of T.R. Miller. He played at Auburn, and he had a very unusual first name. And he was one of Pat Dye's all-time favorite players. Y'all know who I'm talking about. He's a lineman. Dow. Y'all want to know the last name? His name was Dow.
Altman.
Altman. Do you remember Dow? Dow.
Yeah, now that you say it. Auburn was, it built its program on great defensive lines in the early Pat Dye era.
Yeah, and of course, you know, and I couldn't understand this. Mike knows this, and I've always got a kick out of this. But you know, the Michigan helmet, you know, good-looking helmet. Wouldn't you say the Michigan helmet was a good-looking helmet?
Mm-hmm.
Troop County, Georgia had a.
I can't remember what that wore the Michigan helmet was. Who, Mike?
Delaware
Right.
Blue Hens.
They ran the wing T.
Sweetwater. It was Sweetwater wore those old Michigan helmets.
I know, but Delaware in the 1AA wears the helmets.
That's right. And what was their nickname?
Blue Hens.
The Blue Hens of Delaware that played, and they wore the old Michigan.
Well, let me ask you would think that more.
Why would you think that there weren't more teams wearing the old Michigan helmet? I know our high school teams were our college.
Well, LaGrange, not LaGrange, but Troop High School in Georgia wore them when I was coaching for Whitesville Road Middle School that fed Troop High School. And they went to a clinic on the wing T. Well, Delaware wore the Michigan helmet, so Troop, they started wearing the Michigan helmet. Now, whether or not they still do, I'm not sure, but Troop County out of LaGrange, Georgia.
Don't you think it would?
You know, the old Enterprise Wildcats looked like when they used to play Troy, that they'd come out of the dressing room and they looked like the what, Mike? What color uniforms did Enterprise have?
Like Penn State.
Navy blue.
That's right. They were like Penn State or the Baltimore Colts. They looked a lot like Baltimore Colts, and was that navy blue and white. Was you know.
When I played at Charles Henderson, we looked like Syracuse. The Orangemen.
Looked like Syracuse.
Plain orange.
With orange pants and blue jerseys.
Charles Simpson's uniforms have changed so many times. At one time, they looked kind of like.
All right, this is a trivia question.
Florida or Auburn.
The 4 great players to come out of Syracuse. The 4 great players.
Ernie Davis, Floyd Little.
Zonka.
Ernie Davis, and Floyd Little.
Jim Brown.
Did Zonka play there?
And Larry Zonka.
All right, that's 3. These are all Heisman Trophy guys.
Yeah, Jim Brown.
You've already got
Ernie Davis.
Donovan McNabb.
Yeah.
Donovan McNabb. We're going to put McNabb down there, but he wasn't a fullback, but it's McNabb.
Ernie Davis.
Still some of the great ones left.
Well, we said Larry Zonka.
We said Jim Brown.
Greatest running back in Miami Dolphins history. Do y'all know who that was?
We said Zonka.
Larry Zonka.
See, Larry Zonka was, all right, that's 5 of them right there. There's got to be another one, doesn't it?
They had some great players.
These were all great running backs that came out of David. Do you remember David?
Yeah, Forrest said him, Ernie Davis.
Davis was the Heisman Trophy winner that did not play pro ball. He died of cancer. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
They made a movie about him.
1 year. All right, that's 6 great players that came out of
Syracuse. That's right.
Hang along. What do you think?
That's surprising. They've had some great players.
Yeah, you're right.
And no running back, including Bo Jackson or Herschel Walker, was in the league of Jim Brown, who finished 3rd in the Heisman Trophy behind who?
All right, so Paul Hornung.
Right. And who was runner-up to...
Came out of Notre Dame. And who's the other one? Lenny Moore? Not Lenny Moore.
No, we talked about him a couple weeks ago. He just passed away.
Notre
think 5 and 6 that year.
LSU running back.
He was right around in that same era. I know who you're talking about. Billy Cannon.
What did this guy do that we're trying to...
Well, we're saying who was the third place finisher in the Heisman Trophy. There's been a lot of debate about the top two, and the wrong guy got the Heisman Trophy.
What year?
But both of them, I think, said that neither of them should have got it. It should have gone to Jim Brown.
I think they gave it to Paul Horning.
Yeah, and then the runner-up was Johnny Majors at Tennessee.
Johnny Majors with Tennessee.
And then Jim Brown was...
Jim Brown's favorite sport was what? Lacrosse. He was an All-American in lacrosse.
Right. He played the sport of lacrosse.
That's supposed to be a really growing sport.
It is.
They played a lot down here.
Metro areas.
Ernie Davis.
Did you ever teach you that?
Never had lacrosse because I was scared of sticks. The closest I got to it was gym hockey.
They would always enjoy. I've always enjoyed water polo. I wonder why Troy doesn't have that.
All right, now let's go over the greatest linebackers that you can ever remember. You know, when I was growing up, they had the Washington Redskins had a linebacker named Sam Huff. Name me some more great linebackers in the NFL.
I thought Sam Huff played for the New York Giants. He played for the Redskins.
No, he played for the Washington Redskins.
Dick Butkus.
Did.
There you go. You win the prize.
My favorite linebacker was with the Steelers, Jack Lambert.
Jack Lambert.
Yeah.
Good. Jack Lambert.
Jack Ham.
Who was the teammate of Nick Saban at Kent State? I bet Coach Saban
was.
No, Saban was there when they had that National Guard shooting. He was in the dining hall.
Well, all right, come on, we ought to be able to name a bunch of these great linebackers. You got Buck, you got Lambert.
Butkus.
Who was the great Chicago Bear linebacker that everybody talks about?
Dick
Butkus.
Butkus played at Illinois.
Yeah, I mean, Butkus was one of the great.
Number 51.
All right. Number 51. All right, who was the great linebacker for Green Bay? What was his name?
Yeah. Kramer, or no, he was a lineman.
He was running back. I mean, he was a lineman.
Yeah, the Philadelphia Eagles had a great linebacker.
Bill Berge?
Back in those. What?
Bill Berge? Did he play linebacker?
No, but that's close. You're very close.
I mean, you had Leroy Jordan with the Cowboys.
Yeah, he got to be in there.
Who's the Cowboys?
Leroy.
Nitschke. Was he a linebacker?
Nitschke,
Ray Nitschke.
Was Nitschke a linebacker?
Yeah, Mike Singletary for the Bears was a good one.
Great linebacker. Ray Nitschke was a great linebacker. You're right.
And we're just talking about inside linebackers. We're not talking about Derek Thomas and
We're just talking about
Lawrence Taylor.
Novus from Atlanta.
Great linebacker.
I would say Lawrence Taylor dominated the game more than any linebacker.
Taylor was a great linebacker, no question.
He could take over a ball game on defense.
Then he would go out to a party until about 5 in the morning afterwards.
Back in the old days, the Baltimore Colts had a linebacker that was originally a quarterback. He played in the game between the Giants and the Jets when Amos pulled it out.
Mike Curtis?
Excuse me?
Mike Curtis?
You're exactly right, my friend. You got it. Curtis.
Well, if you just talk about Alabama linebackers, I mean, or people that grew up in the state, you got Leroy play for the Cowboys for over 10 plus years, and then you had Captain Crunch. You had Captain Crunch, Mike Colon, played for the Dolphins for about 10 years.
Yeah, Captain Crunch, Mike Colon was a great linebacker. No question about it. Came out of Auburn. He played at Hoover High School, I think, in Birmingham.
I think Jack Lambert was the best of the 70s.
Jack Lambert was a great one, no question. But they still with a lot.
Mike Singletary was the best in the 80s and 90s.
Tim Tucker, Troy University.
You remember Tim Tucker?
I remember Tim Tucker.
He was fantastic.
He was.
The greatest offensive lineman ever. The greatest offensive lineman ever to live, according to Sports Illustrated, is John Hanna.
John Hanna.
No, but we're talking about linebackers.
Yeah, okay.
I know, but I'm just talking about, you're talking about NFL players.
Singletary, do you remember a guy named Singletary? How good was he?
He's mentioned him 3 times.
You don't remember Singletary?
Yes, we've been talking
about him. You got to listen.
Well, see, I'm sorry. sorry, I didn't hear.
You must have waves in your ear.
Oh, I was talking at the same time.
That is true. It's hard to make it out.
I'm thinking of a great linebacker. Nobody had him back then.
Hey, are you going to say, let's skip position, are you going to say the best cornerback of all time is Deion Sanders?
He was good. No question.
Darryl Green was pretty good for the Redskins.
Yeah.
It's hard to remember all of them. But back in the old days, there were so many great linebackers, quarterbacks. They all had, from Eddie LeBaron to Y.A. Tittle. You ever heard of the name Y.A. Tittle?
I sure have.
Y'all ever heard of him? And then for the Los Angeles Rams quarterback, or the Philadelphia Eagles quarterback, what was his name? He would later be a great coach. He was a pretty good old quarterback back then.
I remember Pat Hayden for the L.A. Rams. He was a TV announcer for a while, and then he was the athletic director at USC, wasn't he?
Norm Van Brocklin and
Norm Van Brocklin. That was who I was trying to come up with, was Norm Van Brocklin.
I'm looking at winners like Tom Brady.
And then let me tell you something else while we're
Bart Starr.
a little trivia. That Los Angeles Rams team had another quarterback named Otto. No, wait a minute. The Green Bay Cleveland Browns had a quarterback named Otto
Graham.
All right, you got it. And he was a great. But we were talking about the great quarterback that you just mentioned. His favorite receiver was a guy named Crazy Legs Hirsch. He was a wide receiver on that Los Angeles team. You just go back to the old days of watching football on TV, and of course, a lot of you guys weren't even born then. It's amazing how well y'all come up with the name.
You talk about good citizens. A while back, you brought up a interesting question. Great football players who were also great citizens and role models. You know who I'd put near the top of that list is Archie Manning of Ole Miss.
Yeah.
He seems to be a real class person. He's raised a wonderful family, and
I'll tell you another one that did the same thing was the great Chicago Bear running back. Y'all know who we're talking about?
Gail Sayers.
Walter Payton.
Walter Payton. Yeah.
Both of them, yeah.
Gail Sayers, Walter Payton.
Sweetness.
Walter Payton was a great man too.
Sweetness.
Oh, he
played at he played at Jackson State.
Yeah, that's right. Played at Jackson State and was a great player. And of course, there was also a great player that played against Troy, Mike. There was a great quarterback from over there in Mississippi. You remember that?
Steve Air McNair.
Yeah.
Steve Air McNair. And boy, he was a great one out of a small college.
And Troy played him twice, didn't they?
Right, sure did. Lost to him one time on the last play of the game. You remember that?
Yeah, they did the prayer before the game, and the public address announcer prayed, and at the very end he said, "And thank you, Lord, for Steve Air McNair," and that's how he ended the prayer.
Yeah, right. He was a great one. No question.
Yeah, Troy beat him by about 60 in Troy, but then actually got beat down in I guess Alcorn.
You're right. There were some great running backs. Have you ever heard the name Hugh McElhaney? Y'all ever heard that name? Running back for the San Francisco Giants. Excuse me, yeah, the San Francisco 49ers. Excuse me.
No,
but he was a great one. And then maybe the best running back of all time played with the Chicago Bears, Mike. You know who I'm talking about? Played his college ball at Kansas.
Gail Sayers.
Gail Sayers was a great, great player.
Tore his knee up.
For of all places, Kansas.
Yeah, he made it to the Hall of Fame though.
And then
he had a shortened career, and he made the Hall of Fame, and then Terrell Davis.
You know who I'm talking about?
Terrell Davis made the Hall of Fame for the Broncos, and he had a really short career.
Dwight Stevenson made the Hall of Fame, and he got a career-ending injury after about 8 years.
He was a great player.
He played center for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
This guy right here, got on my mind right here, Mike, came out of Pensacola, Florida, running back, one of the greatest running backs of all time, still holds the record for most rushing yardage in a career.
Emmett Smith was coached by Max Howell, that's a regular on the show.
The guy that's on our show all the time, Max Howell. And
how about?
we used to see Emmett. He's come to Troy all the time. You remember that?
Yeah, he dated one of the sports medicine trainers.
In fact, he was sitting right across the aisle from us at the old Sartain Hall, and he wouldn't say a word, but he was just very nice, and he didn't want any kind of fanfare or anything. He was just a great young man. He really was.
How about Barry Sanders? You know, he retired early to play for the Detroit. What if he had played on a different team, or, you know?
All right, let's look at the
Oklahoma State
of all time. And Sanders would definitely be one of the great running backs of all time. Sanders.
I think we've named a lot of them. The greatest of all time is Jim Brown, without a doubt. I mean, he averaged.
Well, Jim Brown,
he retired early.
He ran a 4.7, 4.8, 40. He was not real fast at all.
They couldn't tackle him.
Stronger than everybody else at the same time.
God, you had to be brave to tackle him.
What was he known for? Do y'all realize what he was known for?
He was slow. He was always slow to get up.
Slow getting up. You're exactly right. Who said that?
I did. I can remember a documentary about it.
When he would get hit, he would take 10 seconds before he get back to the huddle.
You remember who else used to do that? Was a local kid. Rest in peace, John Johnson.
We haven't been talking about our
32
sponsors enough. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back, and as always, thank you to our sponsors who make this show possible.
We've been doing business the right way for 31 years, and now we've approached a year at the all-new Bill Jackson Ford. But don't take our word for it. We feel our customers express it the best.
I would recommend Bill Jackson to friends and family. Environment was just friendly.
It's a short drive from anywhere.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Troy Cable Security Wi-Fi doorbell camera allows you to answer the door from your smartphone when you are at home, at work, or on the go. When a visitor presses the button, Troy Cable Security sends a live video feed to your smartphone so you can see, hear, and speak to the person at your door. With the doorbell camera, you can have your porch light turn on automatically when it detects motion at night to create the appearance that someone is at home. You can view video clips so you can always know who stopped by when you were out. Troy Cable Security. You love them, protect them.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
Here at Bill Jackson Chevrolet in Troy, we've been doing business the right way for 31 years. But don't take our word for it. We feel our customers express it the best.
Been honest in everything we've discussed with them.
When they said Jackson satisfaction, they really mean it.
The Jackson satisfaction is real.
We've been doing business the right way for 31 years, and now we've approached a year at the all-new Bill Jackson Ford. But don't take our word for it. We feel our customers express it the best.
I would recommend Bill Jackson to friends and family. Environment was just friendly.
It's a short drive from anywhere.
Yeah, all right, we're going to segue to golf, and I am fascinated by this Bryson DeChambeau guy. And Michael tells me that he won the tournament this weekend after, I think he's finished in the top 10 in every tournament to date. Tell us about him, Michael. There's a lot of unique features. He does it his own way, really. Remember, Mike, when we talked about the Jeopardy whiz that was playing the game different than everybody else, and then I started talking about other innovators who did things their own way, like Fosbury on the high jump, and the first guy that kicked the field goal and extra point soccer style.
That's right.
Well, Bryson DeChambeau, he has looked at the way everybody else has done golf, and he is doing it his own way. Tell us some of the things that are unique about him, Michael, if you know.
Well, I mean, he's just real scientific the way he looks at golf. He looks at numbers and percentages and basically finds ways to, kind of, as far as his driving of the ball and the club selection he uses, he looks at different, numbers and angles. But, I mean, he's been, super successful. He won yesterday, but just like you said, he's been in the top 10, basically the top 5 in every tournament since COVID-19.
All right, Mike, the next best thing to DeChambeau is another big, strong South Florida guy. Tell us who that is.
You talking about Koepka?
Yeah, Tetra. Now, explain.
Koepka didn't play, though, in this tournament.
Pronounce his name, Mike.
Bruce Koepka?
Yeah.
Koepka.
He's the number 2 guy, wouldn't you say?
Well, I mean, he's the number 1 guy. DeChambeau is probably ranked in top 10 in the world.
Right.
But
he's another heavy hitter. Is that right? Where is he from?
Yeah. Well, he played at Florida State in college. He's from Florida somewhere.
He's a South Florida guy?
Yeah, I believe so. DeChambeau played at SMU.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't know that.
The scientist.
DeChambeau, yeah, every one of his clubs are the same length.
Same shafts, yeah. Every shaft is the same length. That's right.
A 3-iron and a 9-iron would be the same length. It swings. Yeah.
And it takes the full swing at every club. Is that right?
It's amazing how much he's increased his driving distance in a short time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all about club head speed. His club head speed's like 140 or something.
Gosh.
Now, we'll bring in a guy one of these days for long, and he's been on our show before. Andrew Williams, his club speed was over 130, Mike.
Yeah, he competes in all the long drive competitions that you see.
Exactly. All right, the number 3 best player in golf, who would you say he was, Mike? He's also another long hitter.
I mean, Justin Thomas is number 4 out of Alabama. Number 3.
Who would be number 3? He's out of
Roy McIlroy is definitely in the top 4.
McIlroy. That's what I'm thinking about. Roy. Now he's another long hitter, isn't he?
Yeah,
they're all long hitters.
He hits at about 330, but so does Justin Thomas. He weighs about 160 pounds.
Yeah.
All right, Thomas, Thomas is only, 160 pounds soaking wet? Probably.
Probably.
If that, yeah. The key, if they hit it a long way, they've got short irons, usually wedges, into the green that they can hit high and land the ball softly. And that's
right, these are giant hitters. And when you say they were the top 4 golfers in the world right now, DeChambeau, I can't pronounce the other guy's name, a big, strong guy.
Bruce Koepka.
Rory and Thomas. When you say those 4 were the best golfers in the world right now?
And then the Spaniard's really good, John Rahm.
Throw somebody else in there. That's really good.
John Rahm.
All right, Rahm. Has Rahm played lately? Did he play this weekend?
Nah, a lot of the big names didn't play this weekend. It was really poor field in Detroit.
All right, now Rahm's from Spaniard.
Tiger. Yeah, Tiger still hadn't played in one match since all this has happened.
What's up with that?
In there with it. Would you put Tiger in there with these 5 right now?
No way.
I wouldn't put Tiger in there with this group.
All right, there's got to be some more. Is anybody else deserve to be in this top 10 here?
There's some kid that I can't ever remember his name that has a unique name that's almost won the.
I tell you who needs to be in there. Wes Stetson.
Yeah, Webb Simpson's playing pretty well.
Yeah, he is right now.
Patrick Cantley's been playing really well, but he's not playing right now. There's there's the guy that it's like 21-22, Maricama, something like that. It's really good right now.
Yeah, one of the foreign golfers.
No, he's from the States. He's from California.
But
he's been playing really well too.
The top, say, 7 players in the world would be DeChambeau, oh gosh, I can't remember his name.
Well, I mean, Dustin Johnson won last week.
Yeah, Dustin Johnson's pretty good. We ought to put him in. We forgot Dustin Johnson.
I know who we're not putting in there. We're not putting Bill Rice Jr. What about you, Forrest? How's your game?
Well, I'm not a golfer, but I do own a set of golf clubs.
But you're exactly right. Dustin Thomas would definitely deserve to be in there.
Now, let's see. Let's go around. Mike Amos, what's your best score ever where you were pretty much playing by the rules?
I used to shoot low to high, mid to high 80s, about as good as I ever played.
Yeah, that's about me, too.
Yeah, my top. I think when I was in high school, I shot an 84 at the Troy Country Club. That's the best score I ever had, at 84.
I think I one time shot at 81, but you know, I'm guarantee that was with one mulligan and not putting out and giving myself gimmies and improving my lie. I've probably never played one round of golf where I observed all the rules of golf the whole round.
See, let me tell you, when I was fairly decent, we used to play a lot of, we would always have a game on Saturday and Sunday, and we all had handicaps, or we played by points. What we did, we played by points, and I might have one time shot 18 or 20 points, which is not, it makes me probably an 80 hitter, but it was back then the golf course was not that good, and so you were allowed to roll the ball around. Now you play the Troy Country Club, you play the ball down, you don't move the ball at all. But back when I played at a decent rate, back 25, 30 years ago, the grass, it was not a lot of grass in the fairway, so you would move it around within a foot of where the ball laid, and actually been able to position your ball to where you could hit it.
It's called lift, clean, and play. That's what that's called.
But at one time, you played where you moved the ball a little bit because there was no grass out there,
I still think somebody needs to build I think somebody needs to build a beautiful golf course, like maybe a Robert Trent Jones golf course up in North Pike County near Orion and Lockheed Martin, all that hilly terrain up there.
And then you
accessible from Highway 231. I think you could. There's got to be some property up there where you could build a really scenic golf course.
You're exactly right, and there, if you were north of Montgomery, north of Troy, you could bring in a lot of golfers from Montgomery. I'll tell you another place, which every time I pass by it, I said, that would be a great length course. Is that the body of land south of Spring Hill? You know where that is? That big lay of land.
Yeah.
Used to Robert Dunn's lake out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it still is, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Big place for a link course or a Robert Trent Jones course.
Why don't we build a lake out at Pike County? A course out at Pike County Lake, like a little par 3 or something.
Well, there's room for it. You could do that.
Could you put a par 3 golf course out there for us?
You probably could. The state owns a lot of that land, and a lot of people for sale and develop.
I've got a lot of land out there I'd like to sell.
What about Crow Hill? What about Crow Hill Lake?
Crow Hill Lake could be a great place for a driving range. You would have to have golf balls that float.
Ron Pierce's place, Camp Butter and Egg, they have floating golf balls where they have the golf now where you can try to tee off over the water, and it's floating golf balls.
I have never been out there. Everybody I know has been out there says it's great.
They got axe throwing.
You talk about the old Troy course now. It's what they've got. They use it strictly for practice, but it's beautifully laid out.
Beautiful.
The greens are immaculate. They're nice. There is a big culvert coming down that street, that street on George Wallace Drive. There's a big enough culvert to drive a golf cart underneath it. So Troy University already owns all of that wetland land. From there, Troy University owns all that land, and it's wetland, and its only use right now, and I think I know what I'm talking about here, would be to build a golf course on it.
Well, you
turn that water and build a golf course of it.
Hey, let's make it happen. I like that, Mike. That, you know that.
I'm saying there's enough land there that Troy University owns
To do it.
You know, right. You know where the old practice field is at Charles Huntston, where the baseball field is now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right next to that.
The softball field. Well, that land there, below there, it belongs to the university, and the water, you know, right now it's real swampy type water, but it can be turned. It can be turned with a little bit of dirt and architecture.
But don't the environmentalists, if you're dealing with a wetlands, don't you have so many hoops you got to jump through?
Yes, that's right. That's right. And if you are dealing with a wetland, you would have to adhere to those restraints. But you know, if you'll think about it, with a golf course, you're not destroying the land at all. You're just making it better, to tell you the truth.
Well, flooding would be too bad to play out there, in my opinion. Some of the water.
When it's wet, it's wet.
I don't know. It's just the way you know, people that know a lot about landscape could make a golf course out of that.
You know what I mentioned about every 10 shows is the Walnut Creek Lake project. It sleeps. I mean, we could have done it 40 years ago, 50 years ago. You could do it today, and that land you're talking about right there would be part of the lake. I mean, you would see that lake from Highway 231, and you would see it from Lower George Wallace Avenue and Elm Street. It would be really scenic.
How many houses would have to go underwater?
The engineers was going to build it at one time. They were actually going to build it, the Corps of Engineers.
Yeah, it wasn't going to cost hardly anything. It was just one of the great missed opportunities. And
it was either the Corps of Engineers or the Army. One or the other was planning on getting with the folks and building the place, but it didn't happen.
Here's your official world rankings in golf.
Literally. What's that, Michael?
You want to hear the world rankings in golf?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to hear, and it'll tickle me to see if all of these guys we've listed will be on it.
Yeah, the official world golf rankings have come out. Roy McIlroy's number 1, John Rahm number 2, Dustin Johnson number 3, Webb Simpson, who Mike Amos mentioned, is number 4 now. That's got to be the highest he's ever been ranked. Justin Thomas is 5th. Brooks Koepka, who's actually been injured with a knee injury, he's 6th now. DeChambeau's number 7. Patrick Cantlay is number 8. Dad's favorite golfer, Patrick Reed, is number 9. And then rounding out the top 10 is Adam Scott.
Michael, didn't DeChambeau, wasn't he injured like last year, and then he had to sit out a season because of an injury, and then came back strong?
I don't think he did. I think Koepka had a knee injury. He was out. But I don't think DeChambeau's been hurt, but I know.
Okay.
But Koepka's definitely been injured.
Yeah. But now I noticed that they didn't have DeChambeau ranked. What is he ranked?
Oh,
he's ranked 7th.
He's number 7.
But all the way down to 7th, and right now, most anybody would say he's the hottest guy. He and Wes Simpson are the hottest 2 golfers out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
What tournaments do we have coming up, Mike? Do we have any big tournaments coming up soon?
You got PGA coming up in August.
When is the Memorial Jack Nicklaus's tournament? Because I've heard that they are going to allow fans at that tournament, which is a big deal for those of us who hope we get college football back. Because if that goes off and the sky doesn't fall, that will help the case for sporting events with fans. And isn't that coming up in a week or 2 or something?
Yeah, let me look and see what's next.
That's Jack Nicklaus's tournament in Ohio.
I still say, and I haven't heard it from experts, but it just makes all the sense in the world, is to set this thing up about fans utilizing going to a football game. Is having that same thing that they had at UAB at the hospital, is test everybody immediately, test their fever. If they're running a fever, they can't come into the game. And let the people that are not running a fever come in the game.
They might end up doing that.
Well, you're going to go to a ticketless entry. You have to be entered on a cell phone, smartphone,
You would have to
at Auburn and other colleges.
Yeah.
No exchange of tickets. No cash.
Well, we're getting ready to go to a cashless society in the next 5 to 10 years, and that scares me to death when the government has control of all your money and knows how you spend it, and watch that movement.
The movie industry has to be one of the industries that's being hit harder than anything. You don't know of any new movie coming out on it, do you?
No.
But now, watching old movies might be the biggest plus thing out there right now, like Next and some of those places. So what I'm saying, new movies they're in trouble right now, you would think. And then the old movies, if you've got some kind of system there, it's red hot right now.
Well, you're talking about two businesses. You're talking about the studio system, Paramount, Walt Disney.
Concerts.
Yeah, that too. But then you also have the movie theater owners. Most of them are big chains, probably 2 or 3 companies dominate it. I think AMC is a big one. But we have a locally owned movie theater in here in Troy.
But I'll tell you something, though, y'all. It makes more sense than anything would be drive-in theaters, because you have distance, between cars, hookups. If somebody could come up, now I know that's a lot of money, but if you could come up with some kind of drive-in theater, you would probably do pretty well.
I read a headline, Mike, that said that Walmart is going to convert 1,600 of the parking lots it owns. I'm assuming this is Walmarts that have shut down, that you see that they're now just the old Walmart in the huge parking lot. They're going to convert those to drive-in movie theaters.
That sounds with a big screen.
Yeah.
And then put the big screen on the hooked off to the main building. Wouldn't that be
Alan Jackson, the big-time country music artist, had a drive-in concert up in Coleman 2 nights in a row and had record crowds, like 14,000 people were there. Out in the middle of Coleman.
I'll tell you, I give Joe, right now there's one right outside of Dothan, a drive-in theater, and I'm sure they're been busy. What's the name of that little town outside of Dothan?
Is it Wicksburg?
Wicksburg, yeah, they've got one in Wicksburg.
I don't know if it's still open.
They're probably doing very well.
I can't remember very many movies that I've watched all the way through at the drive-in movie theater.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I've got something ringing in my head. Now listen to this. What if you got that huge screen at Veterans Stadium here in Troy? What if you put movies on that, and sold entrance to the movies? You could put 10 to 15, maybe 20,000 people in there if you wanted to watch a movie.
Well, they do concerts too.
And have popcorn machines.
Yeah.
And the university make profits off the candy and the popcorn, and see a full-fledged movie. And then also on certain times have cartoons pulled out and charge admission. They could make some money that way.
Some cities.
Be a great movie.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And tonight's scheduled event would be Who Shot Liberty Valance?
Mm-hmm.
And Gone with the Wind, or the Ten Commandments, some of the great movies of all time.
I've always thought that, couldn't we persuade Hank Jr., who lives in our community, to do a concert at the stadium?
Yeah, exactly. But you could have an outdoor arm's length type theater deal, and of course Josie Wells would be one of mine, and then of course what I'm saying, some of your favorite shows.
Yeah, you could do it.
That they could put on there.
You would have to play like a Star Wars or E.T. or some like classic film. You couldn't. You'd have to, if you want students or somebody to come out for it.
You know, they do that on the square sometimes.
They could easily do it if they wanted to and make a little money for the program, you know.
They show movies on the square outside. A lot of people show outside movies these days.
Hey, Bill, the Memorial Tournament's not going to be this weekend, but next weekend.
All right. Everybody mark that down. And I think I'm right. I might be wrong, but I swear I heard that they are going to allow fans. And I don't know if they're going to limit the number of fans or they're going to allow anybody and everybody to come. But let's watch and see how that goes. That'll be a big change.
I know locally.
When I was running when I was doing those movies just a while ago, and I'm just throwing stuff off my head. But Gone with the Wind would not be one of my shows that I put on there, I promise you. But some of the great shows that you like, and I was watching, I've watched so many of them lately, I can't tell you which ones they were, but the movies are still big-time entertainment, though, it really is.
What Carrie and I watched the other day, which I think is an underrated movie, is Urban Cowboy with John Travolta and Deborah Winger. What a wonderful soundtrack, you know, back when the country and western phase was taking off in the early 80s. Filmed at Gillies.
Cowboy, yeah. Exactly right.
Locally, Mike, is the Alabama High School or the Alabama Baseball Coaches Association All-Star Week starts today at Troy University. And I noticed they had a big registration at the basketball arena. And that parking lot, when I drove by George Wallace Drive, was packed. And I think it's this week.
Today or yesterday?
It was yesterday when they were registering. So they start practicing all that today. And I think all those players will stay on campus, probably in their own room. I don't know all the details. But locally, I was trying to get a list. I emailed the guy who runs the tournament and have not got any response. But I know locally, the Warwick kid from Goshen, the Sparrow kid from Charles Henderson High School, the Thrash brothers from Ayrton are involved in it or have been invited. But I was trying to get a local list of these area baseball players from this area who have been invited. I think a couple of kids from Brantley are there. But it's a big all-star showcase tournament for these young players, sophomore, juniors, and seniors. You know, in front of these coaches, and they divide them up in teams.
That's always been in Troy, and that's another big deal for Troy to get these kids.
Now, whether or not you can go spectate, I'm not sure.
Do they all stay on campus and sit in the dorms and eat in the cafeterias and all that?
I'm not sure how they're going to do that, but somebody had told me that they will be on campus. Whether or not that's true, I'm not sure. And I also read a report going to the campus that on Thanksgiving break, you know, the kids will resume their classes online at Troy University. They'll start going to class as normal in the fall. You got to wear a mask. You go to class, but in Thanksgiving break, you'll finish your classes online.
Why is that, Forrest?
Well,
I saw a document. I read it on, I think, the Dothan Eagle.
So the fall quarter would end at Thanksgiving, is that right?
Right. But then you would go online after that. But I'll try to get a copy of that. But it was in the Dothan Eagle, and it was a report by Dr. Lance Tatum. He had gone over the COVID-19 restrictions.
That makes sense. It really makes sense.
I guess they're anticipating a second wave in the fall or the winter.
They may be being proactive, probably.
Football would be suffering
that's a good omen too. If you want to look at something that's impressive, I don't know any statistics on total enrollment or anything, but I've heard that the sororities have a record number of applicants.
I've heard that too,
which I think is great.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to hear. I'm curious to see how many Chinese students will still be on campus. I hope all of them.
And another thing we got to think about is the sound of the South Marching Band. We're talking about 350 to 400 people in the band. You know that something that is pretty impressive with this. Mike and you and I were talking about this. The band, if they use social distances, would fill up the south end of the stadium, which would be impressive. You know.
Yeah.
Well,
why don't we just have games when the band's just there? The band's and the players. That's all you need.
And cheerleaders.
That's right. That's right. Exactly.
Hey, Michael, did you see that they have had another outbreak of COVID among the construction workers at Bryant Denny? And that they are working, some of these people are working 70-hour weeks trying to get that stadium finished by September 12th.
Man, I mean, I guess they had a lot of bad weather to start the year as far as a lot of rain. I mean, it seems like somebody really dropped the ball on this. It seemed like they would have had to be done at a certain date.
Well, they do, and then they're going to have penalties if they're not. And so they'll work 24 hours a day to finish it if they have to. But it's what I've been saying for weeks, you know, that Alabama might not play USC. I'd say that game is 50-50 that it's actually going to take place in Dallas. That stadium is maybe or maybe not going to be ready. If Alabama decides not to play in Dallas and needs another game, they might not be able to play in Tuscaloosa on September 5th. So I'm still pushing for Troy versus Alabama either in Tuscaloosa. But if Tuscaloosa Stadium is not ready, let's invite Alabama to Troy and make them an offer they can't refuse and maybe give them half the tickets, the Crimson Tide. And that would be a huge, huge statewide event.
Tickets would be $100 a piece at least.
Can you imagine that? I mean, what that would be like if Alabama came to Troy? I think it would be a PR bonanza for Alabama if they did it.
Yeah.
Ron Denny will be ready has to be ready by September the 12th. It's the first home game. See, I talked to Bulldogs. I talked to some students that go to TCU, and they've even mentioned that they knew that Alabama might play TCU in Dallas now for the USC.
Don't they open up with Georgia State at home before Georgia comes?
Yeah, Alabama plays a home game on the 12th.
They're supposed to play Georgia State at home before Georgia.
If there's not going to be fans for that Georgia-Alabama game in Tuscaloosa, you're talking about some people that are going to be brokenhearted. Man, that's going to be rough.
You know, for them not to play Troy, and of course, you know, I really believe the only thing I can think of for not doing it is they're afraid they might get beat. I mean, really, they're afraid that. I don't believe they would, but that's the only thing I can see because everybody else they're allowed them to play them. You know, Jacksonville State plays Auburn. And, UAB plays all these local in-state teams. You know, and
I think it's going to change, Mike, because the attendance plunge in college football is striking. It's probably going to get worse. Now, they might or may not sell the tickets, but you have a lot of empty seats at stadiums at big blue blood programs, right? We've all seen it when they play these smaller schools. So in the future, Alabama is going to quit scheduling the La Monroes, and they're going to have to schedule the Troys just to put fannies in those bleachers and make a little more money. So if you're going to do it in the future, you might as well get it started now, is what I say. But I think it's inevitable for economic reasons that this unwritten policy of not playing Troy is going to go by the wayside.
But again, though, right, it's hard to think, though, that Alabama and Auburn would ever have to, you know, play at another site. You know, it just doesn't look.
Well, look at it this way: they go play UAB, South Alabama, Troy every season.
They might play one of them a year.
Troy, yeah.
Troy line against Alabama right now would probably be around 38.
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably would be. It might be.
Auburn Troy line probably around 30. Najee Harris would probably rush for 400 yards against Troy.
Well, our guy will have 20 tackles, though, Mike.
Yeah, but he's the only one making the tackle.
Well, if they with all this, do you think they'll restructure college football altogether? And you know, think of all the teams like South Alabama, North Alabama, Jacksonville State, West Alabama, UAB, Alabama State, Troy University. Throw all those in a pile and let them play each other every year.
being talked about. You're talking about a big boy division and then the other schools, the mid-majors. People have been saying that's going to come for a long time.
Go back play Valdosta State, West Georgia.
What I said at the very beginning, y'all. Start football in November. November's 1st, start football and play it all the way till February 1st and have your playoffs and whatever. And then start your basketball and then for a couple of months and then baseball. I think we need to think about making it mandatory that everybody starts in November on the 1st. And let's get a lot of this virus out of the way. That's just my opinion.
If I was a top player, I wouldn't play in November. I mean, I wouldn't even play.
Yeah, they won't play. The Najee Harris's and
the draft's in April. I mean, why would you risk it?
They won't do it. You're right.
Well, Mike, you move all of that back. Guys, you move the draft and everything back. But what I'm saying, your chances are the virus would be maybe down as low as it's ever been in November, probably.
I keep saying, though, that even if the virus some people keep getting the virus, when you're talking about 18 to 22-year-old kids, 0 of them have any kind of health risk. I mean, I've looked it up, and it's an amazing statistic that, well, there's only, the age group 0 to 17, there's only been, this was as a couple of weeks ago, 3 people in the entire country that have died of COVID-19, and that's about 60 million people that are between the age of 0 and 17. So I mean, it's all the deaths are 70 and older with pre-existing conditions. I mean, there is just no, the few people of that age group that get mild symptoms and they're better in a couple of days. But I would say that 90% of them don't even get symptoms. That's what I mean. I'm looking at all these positive tests that are coming back, and some of those stories.
You should have a age range. If you're 50 or over, you can't go to the game. You can't go to the game.
No, that'd be something. Maybe 60 to 100 or something.
50 and below can go to the game.
I think it needs to be targeted like that. We know who is at risk. Let's target our policy to those people that are at risk. And the other people are virtually at no risk, and let's let them do what they want to and take their own precautions if they want to.
That would be the responsible thing to do. It's raining down here on the Gulf this morning. It's rain to me.
Hey, good.
It's been great. Let me ask you something, Boris Lee. Tell us how you baked your cake. Tell us what your ingredients were.
I just pick different ones off out of a cookbook or look on the back of a box. And I just change stuff up. And the last one I cooked, the 2 I cooked yesterday, instead of a pound cake from Swan's box, I just divided them up into 3 pans, but I think that cake's a little bit more tough. But when you put a cake in the refrigerator, it kind of stiffens up. But I put it in there because I had cream cheese and strawberries on top. I didn't want to leave it out. So, but I just do different things. I mix and match different recipes and come up with what I've got in the cupboards.
I went to Publix yesterday, or the day before yesterday, because we needed something that the pig didn't have, and man, they had a apple pie on sale for $3.99, Mike. You know, we talked about how the price of pies have gone up, but when I saw an apple pie for $3.99, I grabbed it.
Well, I guarantee you, I can make one of the best skillet apple pies or pecan pies you've ever put in your mouth.
You can?
Yes, I can.
A pecan pie or what else?
A skillet pecan pie or an apple skillet pie.
We ought to bid one of your cakes or pies off on our show every day. Just doing a bid. I'll bid on it.
All right, everybody. We have reached 8:30. It's been fun. The time always goes fast. I appreciate everybody listening to us babble. Thank you, Michael Amos. thank you, Mike Amos. Thank you, my good friend Forrest Lee. And thank you for supporting our sponsors. Everybody be safe. And we'll see you tomorrow. See you, Mike.
See you tomorrow.